another angle I want to take is that sense of there's no desperation for players in MLS once it's been pretty figured out that they're not going to make the playoffs or they're going to be one of the worst teams or whatever. And I want you guys to speak to your experiences, because throughout my MLS career, I saw that desperation at the end, because at the end of the season, you're playing for your job. When it's clear to the players and to the team and to the club and to the fans that this isn't the season that you wanted, it's not going the way that you want, you're at near the bottom of the table, everybody's looking forward. The front office is like, that guy gets paid too much, we're moving him. And so this guy's going to probably get cut. He never panned out. Whatever it is, like, there is still a desperation that exists. You still want to prove yourself that you deserve to be there for next year. And what I saw consistently throughout my time was that I had turnover on my teams of minimum 10 to 12 players every single season. That is a lot. And it's hard to build something. Now, when we had a successful season, the turnover was 4 or 5 because there was nothing to change. We had everything there. Now you're kind of fighting for how are we going to keep these guys together, because they're all going to want more money, right? Because they all performed well. Maybe they overachieved. And so I think there's that desperation that, again, maybe you don't see, but does exist. And I wanted you guys to speak to it, because I think it's really important for fans that might not see that to understand. Charlie?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think fans just want to see every game matter, and that teams can't afford to just coast or chill, and that it's not welcomed. It's not part of the culture. And so the only way you do that is by incentivizing the regular season more so than it does. And so therefore you can't have 7 or 8 teams make the playoffs. I think it's got to be 4, maybe 5 if you give a first round bye to the top team in each conference. But that's the only way that makes sense. That, guess what? There's only an X amount of teams that make playoffs. These teams get X amount of a bonus per player. They get an opportunity to play in competitions that the others don't. And therefore, that's the push every game. We need to be here because we want to be able to play in these tournaments and play against these quality teams. So I think in doing so, that's the moment that fans are like, oh, because right now you look across the league, the fan bases are only growing. Teams are getting more support. The fan bases are also understanding what it means to support a club. The culture has really, I think, has grown. The league is in a perfect spot right now. I don't think any of us can complain about where the league is, considering when we were a part of the league, what it looked like.
So do you agree, though? Because I know Heath mentioned that I think he does agree with this, Charlie, that individual game incentivization is important. You got to find that number that everybody can respect. And if you're the star player that's making DP money and you're making millions of dollars, whatever, you make three extra grand for a win, isn't going to be a lot. But you also know, because you're in that locker room, that $3 grand probably will mean a lot to like the 90% of your team, and that they will be running their asses off probably in a different way, knowing what's at stake. If that's there consistently, I think you would see a higher level on the field. And I think I've thought that for many, many years. Do you agree with that, Charlie? You feel like that has to be in place? Because I don't know if it's in place right now, and I think that would shift it a little bit.
I don't know if that is
I'm not going to solve everything, but I'm just saying it could help. It's like a piece of the puzzle.
It's definitely going to help, but I don't know if that's what I would say. That's got to be done, like that one thing. I see a comment from S27 in the YouTube comment section. He's saying, hey, we both follow the Revs. Revs are not a popular team in Boston, despite having us having a lot of soccer fans. I would say there are some organizations and clubs within MLS that if they were to move their stadium, there'd be a huge benefit. New York City FC is one of them, and they got their stadium coming to Queens. The Revolution or another. They have a fan base. And then there's, I want to say, another 100,000 fans in Boston proper that don't necessarily come out to Gillette because it's too far, X amount of reasons. FanFest at Fenway, English Premier League, full. Serie A in North End, full. Those fans don't necessarily go out to Gillette. But if Boston were to have a soccer-specific stadium for the Revolution, I think that's when you say the Revs are important in Boston. People are talking about the Revs. And there are similar instances across Major League Soccer. But because new clubs are coming in, like Heath said, new ownership, that's forcing other clubs to adjust, to become better, to invest more money into their clubs.
And by the way,
go ahead,
Jimmy, real quick, we've shifted this argument away from promotion relegation and into like league and club operating models, right? And so I think Charlie's spot on. You move a stadium, you connect with your community differently, you put the time and energy into it. That's very different than suggesting that promotion relegation is what's going to bring people out to your stadium. And again, I not to say that both aren't true. Most owners, I think, are now in this place as well within the league where they're ready for a national product. They are ready for a shifting of the salary cap so that if a NYCFC or a New England Revolution decided we want to spend 10x anybody in the league to be competitive, that it can build the model for a Philadelphia Union to say, we're never going to be able to compete as it is. We're not going to go and get 4 or 5 big money DPs. So let them go their way. We're going to build our model around player development, and they're going to build a sustainable club that connects with the community in a different way. Now, how that manifests itself over time, if you get to 40 clubs and you decide that pro rel is the route to go internally or whatever, that's something different. But again, like suggesting that certain things that the Revs can be doing better is I think different than connecting that to why Pro Rel would change that narrative.
I also add this: European clubs and leagues look at the MLS model and they say we need that, because outside of England, clubs are suffering financially. La Liga, Barcelona, Madrid, they're here and they still want more money. Everything under them, they're all looking for more money. They're in some cases they're teetering with like debt, massive debt. Mm-hmm. And so if all the European clubs, they look at Major League Soccer, they go, "Oh my God, what a model!"
We should call it the Super League.
No one. Everyone's there's checks and balances, and no, you don't have to worry about one club dragging down other clubs or one club in financial ruin. Everywhere else in Europe, that is what is happening. That's why they're trying to create the Superliga. Like the English Premier League is the Superliga because all these clubs are making so much money from, team in 17th place, Wolves and Aston Villa. They have more resources than some of the bigger clubs in Europe.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. And so I want to now pivot though to USL and Heath. Indy 11 came out and said that they're going to build a $1 billion real estate development in downtown Indianapolis, awesome. Which will include, the renderings look amazing. If you haven't seen them, go type in Indy 11 new stadium. It is pretty ridiculous, but $1 billion development, which will include 100 million, hundreds of millions of dollars stadium that looks fantastic. The owner who's spearheading this has tried to get into MLS before, hasn't happened, but I think this is a real step in the right direction for that to happen, assuming MLS is looking to expand even more. And I get the sense that maybe they will at some point. I don't know. I don't know how much is enough, right? If you continue to follow the NFL model, I don't know how much is enough. But what do you think about the involvement of USL, who not only have the championship, which is considered Division II in this country, but you have USL League One, which is considered Division III, and now MLS is having their own pipeline called MLS Next Pro that's going to be comparable third division, and then you have USL League Two. And that's the fourth division, which is where I help coach with the San Francisco Glens, up the Glens. But how important is USL to this whole conversation about what's happening in this country as well? And then when you see these types of moves, Heath, as our business expert on this type of stadium being built in a market that's only being seen right now as a second division market.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it's a business plan. It's apartments, it's hotels, it's things that are going to drive money into the city. That's going to increase the city's taxability of those places. But from an actual investment standpoint, the club is the vehicle of which you build this entire ecosystem around, right? Those apartments, guess what? That owner's making money on those apartments. That hotel, that owner's making money on that hotel. That's a real estate play, and we've seen that as like even. Can't remember his name at USL. He's the chief real estate officer, I believe is his title, right? As the head of the league, because it is built around this idea. And I've had a number of chats with people that want to come into Modesto or Stockton or other areas in the Central Valley. And it's all built around like downtown revitalization projects. The city's putting money in. They want to bring more people into this place. They want to rebuild the old downtowns where now you can have, again, new apartment housing, you have hotels, you have events, you have, again, you're driving money back into the city, which is ultimately what the city's goal is of having these things, right? They benefit from these, especially when they're private funded. It still brings a lot of money into the city. So again, in terms of they've got multiple tiers within USL. It's about finding their footing and where they fit into the ecosystem, right? We're seeing, as I continue to see your unique storylines like Vermont Green, like you have Forward Madison, like you have, I know those are two isolated clubs, but one wants to be, a sustainable club from a climate justice standpoint. One of them is very community driven in the way that they have everything from a cow that comes out onto the field to the way in which they connect with fans and the fun things that they do throughout the year. I think there's plenty of room and plenty of green space for clubs to connect with their communities and solve whatever their long-term goals are. Those clubs, by the way, are individually run. There's no sort of like club in a box. There's no the franchise. There are franchise fees, but the clubs in themselves do their own marketing, have their own freedom to do